Hello everyone, Carl Pickering speaking here, and now we're going to do another video on mindset, renewing your mind, and we're going to be talking about input determines output, okay? So we have to understand that we are under such a control of the in the environments that we sit ourselves around and what we intake into our mind daily. Okay, and I want to share with you some stories, or a particular story about myself and my journey. Why I believe God could allow to start using me to such a degree years in advance to what He did with other people. All right, I actually believe there was a reason He could actually use me very early on in my Christian walk. Okay, and I don't want to keep this just as a this is a mindset for anyone and everyone out there who's in the business world, who wants to be successful, who wants to lead. You need to get this. Okay, now let's go back to my story. Going back to probably about 15 years ago now, I received an audio by a millionaire / almost billionaire, okay, in the name of Dexter Yeager. Okay, he's big in the Amway business. Actually, big. When I say big, he was the biggest. Okay, and if you understand that, that's a monster. All right. Big. He dealt with presidents. He used to get invited to the White House in America for every president up until Obama. You know, he didn't get invited to that one, but Obama's different, right? But he got invited up to all the presidents. He's now passed away last year. But I got an audio from him, and I was at a time when I was ready to listen. I wanted to change my life. I wanted to come out of the workforce. I wanted to be free. I wanted to live a lifestyle of freedom. And so there was one thing he said to me on this audio that lived with me and still lives with me to this day. Okay, and he said, if you want to be successful in life, you need to do a few things. Okay, one, he said, turn your TV off. All right, turn your TV off. All right, stop watching news. Okay, that was one. Second one, stop reading newspapers. Okay, stop reading newspapers. Once again, stop watching news. 3, stop listening to the radio in your car. Stop listening to your radio. In other words, stop listening to the news. All right. In other words, what he was saying was, take yourself out of the worldly bubble that's impacting your thought processes day by day. And as we can see right now, at the moment, as I talk about this video, we've got this thing going on in the world right now with the coronavirus, and I'll be honest with you, I'm just like, I couldn't give a rip, really. You know what I mean? I just couldn't give a rip. It's just, you know, life, whatever. You know what I mean? We just go with life, and right now that doesn't affect my reality, because my reality isn't affected by what a news source is telling me. Now, the only reason I know about coronavirus isn't because I watch TV or I don't listen to radio, because I still don't, or I don't read newspapers. It's because I'm obviously on social media doing business all the time, and I see stuff come on social media, and that's become another media tool, hasn't it, to infect the minds of the people. Okay, and so one of the I want to tell you a story that. So what I literally took it literally. I just stopped watching TV. Now, I know people who I've heard about people who have, heard the same teachings, and they've gone and cut their TV area so they would never be able to watch TV again. And you know what I mean? Because it allows you. So what he said, what do you do with your TV time then? Because you understand how much time you spend watching TV. Well, my TV time became reading time, reading personal development books, reading business books that are going to help me within my business. It became my business building time when I was ready to build my business. At the time when I first started doing it, I was too scared to build my business, so I spent more time on personal development. It became my audio listening time, okay? Listening to audios that were going to personally grow me as a person. So it was, that's what my radio time in the car all of a sudden became my university on wheels, and how to create a millionaire and billionaire mindset. That's what it was in those days, okay? A millionaire, billionaire mindset. So that's what it became. What was my university on which I turned the radio off and put CDs in at the time. Now we listen to MP3s through our phones and all that, and we all through our Bluetooths and we But the same thing, we listen to audios, right, on how to be better in the profession we're in, the business we're in, and also to grow ourselves as a better person. My newspaper reading, which by the way, I was a tradesman at the time. I loved reading my newspaper, at smoko time, lunchtime. I'd get my newspaper and I'd have my Whopper with cheese or my, bacon and egg burger, and I'd be like chowing that down and reading my newspaper on my lap as I'm going, and I'm, and I got rid of the newspapers and I started reading books. Okay, and yeah, I copped a little bit from the work guys. I remember at work, I was reading. I think one of the first books I read was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And I was the same. I'm like, I read this title, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm thinking, what the heck is this book? I'm gonna, it was just a weird title for me, all right. And my friend group in the workforce was in the same mindset as me, and they were just like, "What are you reading, Carl? What are you on? What have you been sold into? All that sort of stuff." And I just like, I was just like, man, I don't care. All I know is a millionaire and a billionaire told me to read these books, and that's what I'm doing, okay? And here I am today, 15 years later, and I've moved on from those guys while they're still where they were, and I've moved on from. I can't even relate to them people anymore. But so I come into that mindset way before I was a Christian, way before I knew about God, way before I knew about Jesus. I came into that environment, and I was in that environment. I literally took myself out of the world. I didn't know. I remember I was so out of the world at one stage that I remember when the war happened with, I think, Gaddafi in the Middle East. I actually asked someone, so is that war still going on? It was about 3 minutes later, and it was like 3 months later or something, and someone said, oh yeah, it's just they've got rid of him, and I actually had no idea, because I hadn't really involved myself in world events at all at that stage. I know about world events now, because I'm focused in certain areas about what's going on, based on what God's bringing me into. I'm right into the political aspects of life. I'm into the religious aspects of life. I'm into Middle East and all that. And so I'm a bit different today. But right then I was rigid. All right, I was just like, man, I don't want to be involved. You know what? I want to create. I wanted to influence my own environment. I didn't want other people to influence my environment. Okay. I wanted to be my own economy. I didn't want the outside economy to influence my economy. I wanted to be my attitude was going to be based on my attitude, on how I made it that day. It wasn't going to be based on outside influences. And I got rigid on that. I got rigid with that in my family. Till this day, when people come to my house, my TV's not on. Have we got a TV there? It's not on. Okay? We don't watch TV. Have I relaxed in that over the last few years? Yeah, the last 2, 3, 4 years. I've put some grace up on my family. I've allowed my kids to have, my kids, got their iPads now anyway, and they're watching stuff, YouTube and all that all the time anyway, so they're getting some influences outside. I was pretty rigid in the early days, but now I'm not. For myself, I give myself a bit of grace now. I love watching my football, some sports, cricket, I love tennis. I love all sports, so I'll sit down and watch some sports. I'll sit down and watch some documentaries and movies now, but for the first few years I didn't at all. I didn't do anything. I literally cut out everything in my life that didn't influence what I was actually going to be, my dreams and goals. Okay, now I'm relaxed a little bit more. Why? Because I've probably I've allowed myself to, and I can because I actually now know how to control my input. I now know how to control what comes inside of me. Okay, so so like everything, there's a time, a period where you do have to take yourself out of the bubble of the world. Now, one of my biggest disappointments coming into the church environment was I was already in this bubble where I was actually had no really worldly influences apart from the business I was in me, and I could see what was wrong, what was right and wrong with the world already. And of course, then I had this experience with my Lord Jesus Christ, and I came into my I came into this incredible environment, and I thought, all right, I've got to find a church. I went and found a church, and the biggest disappointment I came across was the church was no different to the outside world. They were all still watching the news. They were still fearful of things of the world. They were still scared of everything, and they still had no idea about really what they were actually doing in life. They didn't understand the influence they could take. They were just so worldly. And I couldn't believe it. I was just like, what the heck is this? You know, I mean, I didn't relate at all to what the church, my perception of what the church should be. Once I got born again, I was like, man, I was on fire for God. I was on fire for Jesus. And once I said, I believe God could use me so quickly because he could actually came in and start teaching me and start giving me his revelation and start allowing his visions to work in me because they weren't so influenced about worldly things. Does that make sense? And so I've wanted to make this video to say, look, if you want to conquer yourself within, you actually need to start conquering what you're taking from the outside in. Okay? And that's not to say, you know, cut out sporting events and cut out this, you know what I mean? At some stage you get to a stage where you go, okay, I can go to these events, I can watch TV, I can even watch news, although news I don't watch any, I watch rubbish, alright? It's just fake. It's simple, it's just fake. Your reality becomes your reality. Alright, the reality, see, understand, Carl Pickering's economy does not actually run on the outside world. It doesn't matter if the stock market blows up tomorrow. It doesn't matter if, you know, I don't know, if something happens, you know, the coronavirus takes over the world right now. It doesn't matter. My environment and my being and my faith does not allow me to operate in that realm anymore. But it was because I took myself out of that. I was careful about what I took in, and it wasn't about. So what I'm trying to say is, you have to understand that you have to, the spirit within creates your environment within, which then allows you to create the environment around you that you exist in. And if you can understand that concept, your input determines output. Okay. Now, of course, I shifted across from reading personal development books to the Bible because that was what I became. I became obsessed with God. And I understood God within allowed him to create Carl Pickering's environment for me, to how I am today, how I'm going to be tomorrow, how I'm going to be in the future. Okay? And I was empty of things of the world so he could come in and fill me up. Alright, I hope that makes sense. Okay, but if you want to really be successful, cut off your TV, cut off your radio, cut off your reading time. Start using that time for good use for yourself, whether it's personal development, you know, getting closer to God, or, you know, literally using that time, which a lot of time, building businesses. Okay, start chasing your dreams and goals by actually cutting off the fearful things of life that are coming in on you and affecting you daily. I hope that helps someone. Alright, love yous all. See you later. Hey, I'd just like to say thank you for watching the video that you've just looked at. Okay, I hope the content in it was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it, and really what I just want to say for the end of this video is, if you found that you sort of related to what I was saying, if you sort of felt connected to myself as a person and who I am, Carl Pickering is, and the message that I'm trying to get out there, or the message that I'm actually, you know, producing out there, if you felt like there was a connection there and you'd like to sort of get more involved in the actual movement that I'm trying to create through business enterprise, etc., and if you feel like you want to join me, look, what you do right now is just hit one of the links that, you know, the business link below, okay, and you can hit that link, it'll go straight into my chat bot. You can then from there obviously go through the system that the chat bot takes you through, or hit me up for a free chat, okay, and so I'd love you to do that. I'd love to connect. We can work together on something, you know, a special project together, and actually make this movement happen, okay. So love yous all. God bless. See you later.